Hello and welcome to the Volunteer Firefighter Podcast. I have, what am I going to say, 3 or 5?
5 today.
Five members of my fire family. I've got Scott.
Hey.
I've got Ash.
Hello.
I've got Luke.
Hey.
And I've got Paul.
Hello.
So Luke and Paul are from Motis Fire Rescue. So today
They are Motis.
They are Motis.
Yeah, they're from a big base.
So yeah, today, as you know, if you listen to us, we talk about them a lot, and just want to welcome you guys back to the podcast. And let's get you to just do a little introduction on yourself, how you started, and where you're at today.
Okay, well, I'll jump in because it kind of started at the about 10 years ago. I'm a member of a local fire department here in North Grenville Fire Service, and we were playing around at a couple different calls, and a number of them were in deep snow in the winter and fooling with lines. You know how hard it is to advance a line, and we got talking together about ways to better advance a hose line. And I went home on a Saturday and welded or soldered up some copper pipe in the shape of a letter S, and thought about this pinching action that could be performed on a hose, and that really was the beginning of Motis today. It was we were designing this snagger tool. I got a background in plumbing and electrical and milking cows and whatever, and so it kind of came naturally. I know milking cows and snagger really goes well together, but. It's been a fun process to go through now going on 11 or 12 years to get the product to where it is today, and I joined up with Paul about 6 years ago to really carry the business forward. It was not something I could do on my own. I have other companies and businesses that I was looking after, and I needed somebody to focus on it full time, also who knew how to design tools and develop things, and that's where Paul and he married my cousin, so that it's kind of an obligation to make sure that she was looked after.
Sounds like a hillbilly joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not cousins.
Yeah, we're not cousins.
No.
Clarify that.
Yeah, let's make sure that's clear. But and in the early days, actually for the podcast, I brought one of the very first designs. This is out of solid stainless steel. And this was made in China, and it weighs about 10 times what a normal snagger does. It's made out of solid stainless steel with a point knurling. And we said, well, this is the second one. The first one is a lot bigger around. And so we were playing with different designs, and I've got a bin here of probably 30 or 40 iterations of the tool as it progressed. I partnered with a couple guys in Toronto, some friends of mine we were in the solar business. We were doing renewable energy development, and they were building racks for solar panels. So they understood the whole process of extruding aluminum. And I got talking with them one day about, hey, I'm trying to build this tool out of aluminum. And they said, why don't you extrude it and cut it? And I didn't know what that meant. And so we ended up spending a lot of time in their shop. And that's where we started bringing the prototypes back to Canada and playing in their shop in Scarborough, Ontario. Archie and Henry were good partners with me for a number of years till their business got too busy, and that's when I connected with Paul, and then we added a whole lot of other products to our lineup. So I think I got a bit of background noise there I wanted to kill. Anyway, and bringing Paul in was great because he had a lot of energy and a lot of the ability to focus on figuring out an optimal way to produce this tool, to market it, and then that's when we started adding all kinds of other tools and reaching out to folks like yourselves to understand what the market needs were. My perspective is just from a small 40-member fire department here in Eastern Ontario. It's really good to get out and talk to people right across North America and even the world to get an idea of what needs are out there, and that's kind of where we started working together. Paul, I don't know if you want to take it more from there.
Yeah, and I think making it here was always kind of a big part and passion to do that, kind of make it ourselves, make it in our own shop. And I think in hindsight, looking back 6 years, it was nuts to go through that process just to think like, oh yeah, okay, let's do this. And really, what really kicked that off about probably 7 years ago or so, what really kind of kickstarted us really pursuing this full time and diving in was one of the videos that we made went viral on Facebook and got just under 1 million views in 3 days, and we were just looking at each other like, this is nuts. Like, we've got, there's some interest obviously, or a lot of interest and some traction. So what if we take this as a full-time thing and jump in, and of course, let's manufacture, no problem. I'd done a little bit. I'd done, construction, a lot of stuff like that in the past, and had an uncle that I learned how to use a lathe and mill and just really basic manufacturing. And I was like, piece of cake, we can do this. And that learning curve was like pretty crazy to go from zero to where we're at today. And it's been awesome to manufacture ourselves and kind of control that process. And I think, supply chain issues that we've seen over the last years, we're glad that we control that, and then we can control the quality and output and make changes quick too, which has been great. So we can, send stuff to you guys, and it's like, get some feedback, quickly change it, and keep rolling. And that's been, an awesome part of the process as well. Just learning how to make and manufacture, and then scaling that up as we go to where we're at now.
Awesome. Would you say when you guys first started with the snagger idea, did you have a whole bunch of other ideas in play as well, or you're just focusing all on the snagger tool?
Well, at the snagger itself, no, we were just trying to optimize that tool, and then get it to market. And thanks for reminding me about the video, Paul, because Paul was involved before we were partnered up in trying to get it to market. And that video was back when we had a chief that would let us blow things up and jump out of 2-story aspenite built, structures, and basically, showcase the tool in a very fun way. It made for some cool videos. But no, we really focused on the snagger itself. We thought it was a tool that was unique in the fire service. There was maybe one other tool that was somewhat of a competitor, but not really. And so we thought that was something that was very unique. Let's get it out there and try to become the Kleenex or the vice grip of the fire world, like that. So people refer to that as the snagger tool. That's what it's called. And then once Paul was on full time, and we had staff and a robot that was milling this stuff, and we had expenses and things like that. And we thought, okay, now we have infrastructure. Now what other tools can we bring to the to the game that firefighters need, and that we can have a part of.
Yeah, nice. So you started out with the snagger, so you had one SKU. Now, how many SKUs today do you have out to market?
It keeps changing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to do a recount, because we've actually been simplifying some things too. So we actually have a little bit less now. We've been discontinuing some colors, really streamlining, looking at what are the best products, where are the products that are really make the most difference. Like Luke said, the snagger is so unique, and so there's nothing really like that. So it's how do we kind of push those things that actually make a difference, rather than things that might already be out there, similar things. So really the snagger, mini spanners, wedges, pocket organizer, and the pocket organizer kit are really our biggest ones, and we've really been driving home on those ones and pushing hard on those ones, discontinuing the colors. So blue, black, we just got rid of. We just sold out of those. Yellow's next. So if anybody's looking for yellow, get it now while you can. But we sell almost all red. So we're like, let's make it easier for us and everyone else that we just have red. So the SKUs are actually going down a bit, but then we're always working on new stuff to think of what we can do next.
Well, and we tried to avoid for the longest time Me Too products. So products that already existed out there, like high-rise straps or hose straps, some of those things that, and then we realized, well, there's a demand for that, and it's something that we can make uniquely Motis and just add to our toolkit. So a lot of our current SKUs are Me Too products that you could get at other suppliers, but we're really trying to build a brand allegiance with a lot of folks, and finding that, people come to love the ingenuity of some of our tool designs and the marketing that we've got going on, and they like having Motis on some of our components. So why not build a wedge that other people have? You can cut them out of 2x4s, but these look a lot cooler.
Yeah, for sure they do.
Yeah.
We got the heavy. Oh, sorry, Jesus, I'm knocking everything over. We got actually the heavy hitter here.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then you've added the that's the attachment for the elegant bar, right?
Yeah, or just so you can pull it out of the pouch, like the pouch that, an unreleased pouch.
Oh,
Top secret.
Top secret. That's okay.
It's out of frame.
that's all
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah, a couple other things in the works, which is awesome. Sending you guys stuff, and then getting feedback and testing it, and a couple new things in the works. So we've kind of shared a little bit about the vest.
That's been our process all along in any design of anything we have coming out. Is we've got a couple guys either working for us or working with us or just stop by the shop, Toronto firefighters, Niagara Falls, Brantford, that are interested in what we're doing, and we just play open book. Like, here's something we're thinking of. What do you guys think? And they bang it around and say it's too small or too big or it's the wrong shape or whatever. And the best feedback comes from guys that use the stuff every day and the fire service. And the same thing with the snagger tool. We very early on, when it was a very early iteration, we were on a show called Backyard Inventors, and as part of the show, it's one of these shows that they, like, ooh, will you get the funding and all this kind of stuff, but they brought on about 15 Toronto firefighters to go out and play with it and tug a war and, beat it back and forth and give some feedback. And as a result of that, there were some changes made to the tool. As with everything else we develop, you guys have, given us feedback on other things you'd like to see come into the fire service as well. And we could be more responsive on that. It's been a very busy year for both of us, but we're getting settled in, and it's good.
Yeah, I think we have one of the earlier, more recent, if you will, snagger tools. One of the first purchases that we made off of you guys, actually, it was a true purchase. That's kind of for our listeners that maybe don't know how we kind of came to be. We saw you guys on the internet. It was however many years ago. We're like, snagger tool, that looks pretty cool. And I think we bought 3 or 4, and it was like the old gold color. So like pretty old. Definitely.
There it is.
Kind of like that there. Yeah. So I think you made a few changes since then even. But we ended up just buying a couple, and I think just being me, I'm like, hey, like, we do this podcast, like, whatever you guys can do, we would love to, get a deal or get something. And like
the next thing, a truckload of stuff came your way.
and the next thing you know, so we got our first couple, and hashtag Get Scott a Snagger started from some of our listeners. So the first like shipment was the Scott Snagger. And then when you guys started to demo the wedges, we were demoing wedges, and from that point the floodgates opened, and we've been working together for a good couple years now. And man, it has been an awesome ride together. And dating back to when you guys came out here and did the film work, which I would love to get your guys' version of how that process kind of started and what got you thinking, hey, we should make videos of people in the fire service. That's been going really, really well. Everybody's responded super, super positively on our end of it, and everything that I see commented online has been very, very positive. So why don't we talk about about you guys coming out, doing the filming, and what kind of kickstarted the idea to make the Fire and Life video?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I think just wanting to connect with more people and just kind of share the stories of what people are doing, and kind of look at the interesting side of everyone involved, and everyone's a firefighter. That's their main thing. But then what do they do outside of that, and kind of how does that merge with their life? So that was really just kind of sharing other people's stories and creating content for people to learn more about other people, come to our site and share those stories. So that's really how it started. And you guys were prime first pick to try it out. It went great,
if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, guinea pigs. There's got to be, and if they're far enough away, then we don't have to live with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At the other end of the country, if it fails, we don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it was really part of a broader, you can always, in the noise of internet marketing and in the noise of how do you get in front of the faces of millions of firefighters that live and work in North America, it was, there's lots of advertisement like, hey, buy this thing for $59 and, get a free widget or something like that. But if we were kind of coming at it from an obtuse angle and telling the stories that existed out there of interesting people who happen to, as part of their lives, be a paid on call firefighter or a volunteer firefighter, or full-time even, and having other jobs on the side as a cabinet maker or making belts or being a sheriff or an EMT or running a parts store, or running a podcast as three buddies. That was kind of, hey, how many stories like this are there out there? And is there an opportunity for us to tell those stories? And then Paul had some former coworkers, guys that he worked with in video, who were looking to freelance, and that's where Chris and Alex and so you guys met Chris and Alex out there, and they really helped us develop some of that filmmaking ability, as it were.
And as anybody if you haven't seen it, definitely watch, because what's amazing is, partnering with Chris and Alex was nuts because they're so next level. So we had this great story idea, and it's like, okay, this is going to be awesome. Everything that they do is always awesome. And then it's like very few people make something and then exceed your expectations. And then it's like, oh, wow, it's like I pictured this, but it's that much better. And that's really what happened with this, where it's like we're just, blown away by what we thought was going to be great. And then it was just amazing. It's like, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely echo that. It's, when we first started to talk about the video shoot and what it was going to look like, I'm like, this will be pretty cool. I think it'll end up looking all right. I mean, we're a bunch of idiots, so how could it really be?
They show up and all these cameras and there's
White
stuff.
things
Like,
that pop out.
oh man, are they going to actually realize how cool we are?
Yeah, right? I think it was like a Chevrolet Cruze or something with
a truckload of lighting gear shoved into.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a piece of junk, whatever it was. It was
tied on the roof with paracorders.
yeah.
So we're like, what have we gotten ourselves into here, right? But I mean, what a wicked experience. I mean, it was like right off the jump, it was the most relaxed, enjoyable experience. Like when you're putting something out there for, I guess, the world to see, which, I mean, we do that here already, but
Sure.
it's in our own little way, right? So we've become comfortable with this environment, but now it's actually video going out there to everybody. And like, it's a step out of our normal wheelhouse, right? But I mean, you guys, the production crew there was amazing. And the final product, the first time that I watched it, you guys sent that over early, and we shared that amongst ourselves and I think just our families. And it was like watching it back, I actually had goosebumps. I'm like,
that's
like,
cool.
This so cool. Like, we aren't that cool. Like, let's just get that up there. Like, I mean, maybe, but like, I just don't see it. So I'm like, holy shit, like, this is next level stuff. And again, just an over the top production. You guys did an amazing thing there. And all of them turned out amazing. But seeing ours back first was, I mean, the bar that I thought in my mind that we were never going to get to, we were way up here. It was just, it was phenomenal.
Well, it didn't hurt that you guys got a side-by-side the day before, or took delivery as we were videoing, and then we got to go those shots up in the mountains. That was great. Like, that was a fantastic little bonus that we weren't expecting.
For sure. Yeah, that was pretty great. Having the opportunity to go and tested out in our coverage area, places that we will absolutely be responding to. Getting that like first demo of how well that piece of equipment is going to serve us, and then getting those action shots were amazing.
It's
Following
neat to hear that you guys used it last week in the golf course there for that.
yeah, we did,
Sean had to call us
Yeah,
out.
that was pretty cool. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I can picture that machine and you guys in it, and the poor patient that's traveling in the back of it. If Ash was driving.
No, I was absolutely not. Yeah. So, I mean, why don't you, for our listeners, tell us about how it was for you to come out here, Luke, and what that experience was like for you? Because, I mean, we've told kind of our version of it, but
Sure.
I mean, why don't you give a bit of a Cliff's Notes version of coming out here and, I mean, for the first time walking in and, like we say, meeting these three idiots from BC and kind of what that looked like.
Well, it was a fantastic experience for myself as well, and I got to kind of not apologize, but I also arrived at your place just coming off some really bad news at home with a business that was going, and so I was kind of in two worlds at the same time, but it was so fun to just see your world, and I realized every fire hall is different, but every fire hall is exactly the same in a lot of ways. And I really love the fact that you guys have the training ground set up where we can you can go and play with real fire. You guys had everybody involved at the fire hall. I mean, the guys were eager to come out and train. Your chief is a rock star. He was great to meet, and he's like this old school, really cool guy. And I was like, oh man, I want to. Yes, exactly, the mustache. But also his just laid back attitude, like, hey, I trust my guys. They're gonna, it's really nice to meet a department where guys were really engaged and really excited to train and excited to get involved. And I found that actually quite inspirational. And we got to get back to that on our own departments out here too. There's so many rules that we got to now abide by that it's hard to have that freedom that I sense that you guys have. With some of the training that you guys had going on. So that was really neat. For me, it was as much learning about the filming process as you guys for the most part. I mean, we had done some before, but you guys just kept it fun. I mean, just, a video that takes 30 seconds to produce, as you now know, is 5 hours of filming. And okay, let's just wait. Let's try it again. Let's do this sort of thing. And I also liked seeing a different world. You guys deal with forest firefighting and mountains and that sort of thing. And we're just coming on to medical. That was new. For us, we do mostly medical and, the occasional house fire or car accident. So no, it was and just as well, I mean, you guys aren't three idiots, but it was nice to realize that three normal guys can pull off a podcast, and it was good. And it was fun to try to get you guys to dress up and look good, get Mr. Sheriff in his gear and take pictures from different angles and see you in your homes and see you in your normal lives. And no, that was a fun experience to put that film together.
Nice. I think that's, you definitely hit it, that trying to make things and keep things fun. That's that's our big, I don't want to call it claim to fame, but we really try to keep that at the forefront of all of our training, our podcasts here, everything that we do. If if it's, I think we said it in the video, if it's dry, nobody wants to be there.
Right.
You start to lose the engagement. And there's certain times that you have to go through those moments, but if you have that like equity in the bank of all of the fun training and all of the enjoyable things that you do, people swallow the dry training a little bit easier. So to kind of minimize that and just really focus on that fun, hands-on learning, like we were doing with the video shoot, like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't really all that far off from what a normal training event could have looked like for us, minus the cameras.
Yeah. And I think who you guys are and that just how we got to know each other over time and that fun side. That's kind of what drew us to do this first video, because for us it was like, okay, this is a pretty big risk. It's a lot of money to make a video, especially at that level, and it's like, okay, how's this going to work? This is a brand new concept. What can we do to make it as less risky as possible? So then, yeah, that fun side I think was kind of like, okay, well, we know that the content will be good, and that we'll try this out, see how it goes, and obviously it's not too bad.
Well, I think another side, you touched on it there, Ash, with the keeping training from fun and that, and I'm seeing a lot of stress in our department right now, where guys have such busy lives, and it seems busier than 20 years ago. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems that way, and so we're competing. As a fire department, we're competing for each of our members' time. And they have the opportunity to take their kid to hockey or work another hour at their job or whatever. And if training is fun and they equate that with the professionalism that comes along with it, in responding and everything else, somehow, and I don't know the answer. I mean, we talked about that a little bit when we were there too, and I think it's every bit of leadership in the fire department across North America probably has the same problem. How do we retain guys? And we thought maybe some of these videos would help with that as well. Like, hey, you're part of a bigger brotherhood than just your own department. Like, look at these cool guys from BC. Look at these cool guys from Toronto. We went to Iceland for some videos as well. And
That's crazy.
like, oh yeah, you're part of a bigger family. And maybe that would have somebody watching that while sitting on the loo, decide, what, I am really proud to be part of a bigger brotherhood, and I'm going to go to training tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. Like the recruitment and retention, it's been getting way more difficult over the years. And I think it's definitely our work-life balance is getting hard. So if we don't make these training events, fun and realistic, and when you do a scenario-based training, that's what people like. Like, we all get these dry nights of, let's throw some ladders, do whatever, some hose movements, etc. But until you actually tie it into a scenario-based training event like a high-fidelity sim, that's where it's fun, and it reflects on your training.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about Scott. You build everybody up over kind of the 3 practices, then your big training event, and just seeing everybody mesh and work together so nicely. That's where we're getting that retention. But if you don't, guys are going to choose not to show up for that practice night.
Yeah, we were just having that conversation the other night after our practice. We had half of the group was dunking themselves in the ice. We had an ice rescue course that was going on the previous weekend. So we divvied up the hall again, and half of them took some of the guys down for some shore-based ice rescue training. So the ice techs went out and did their thing. Everybody else got eyes on of what that looks like and what they can bring to it from the shore. And then the other side of us went out and did force entry and some passive entry, which showcased a lot of your guys' products.
Right.
Actually, it's funny, our members now, halfway through practice, is like, so when's the discount code coming?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You grab this, and I put it in my pocket, and they're like, all right, I'm just waiting for the wrap up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Motis 15.
exactly. Oh, geez, everything's going up now.
Oh, I'm feeling generous tonight.
Everybody here first, folks. So we're sitting around afterwards having a pop on the chips, and the guys are like, we're pumped to do some awesome training. And then we started to think about and talk about some of our departments that are our neighbors. They're our mutual aid departments that they don't have, the training facilities that we're lucky to have. They don't get the calls that we're lucky to have.
Right.
So we're not like a rocket department, but we're really busy. Last year we had a fight with the chief about how many structure fires. I think we settled on
15, I think.
15.
Oh, yeah.
There was technically more on paper, but 15 actual structure fires. That's pretty busy. and then plus MVI, plus forest fires, plus medical, plus. So I mean, we had a fairly busy season. You go and look at, I think we had more structure fires than some of these neighboring departments had calls. So when you have that issue, and training can be fun, but it's not as like in depth because they don't have the facilities. You know, when we have a bit of a dry spell, you can already tell that like guys are getting kind of, I don't know, they're just on edge, right? And then a good call or a good training event kind of brings everybody back. And
100%. That makes such a difference. Yeah.
yeah, so like we're like, man, like what can these guys do to make their training, even though it's not going to be as in depth or whatever, like what can they do to get people more engaged? And I think that's like we're super lucky to have what we have, and I think we take that for granted a lot. That you know, hey, just go out and do this kind of training event. Go out and do this. Like, oh well,
Yeah.
not everybody has that. So,
Right.
like one of our followers sent a text or a message on Facebook, was asking like, hey, like we don't have a burn building. We don't have this. We don't have this. Like, what can we do? I said, man, just go set up vehicles and set up pallets. Do a wicked hose movement practice. You know, get guys to bump up and start using extra manpower, and you know, start draining down SCBA. So you know, guys have to back out, and you have to put more firefighters in. And his mind was not blown, but he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take this to my training officer, and we're going to put that into the rotation. I mean, these very easy tasks are things that people can do that hone great skills that you can use out on the fire ground. If you don't have all of these awesome, you know, training facilities like we're really lucky to have. But if you're not doing anything, like we said, like if you're going to throw a ladder once or twice a month, if you're going to be sitting there death by PowerPoint the rest of the time, that's when you really start to lose guys. So show up early, have a plan. Don't just wing it. Like seat of the pants training never goes over well. I think we've all been in a position where you have to throw something together, and if you compare that night to one that you've actually prepped, like if we're training on Thursday, I'm at the training grounds on Wednesday. Like planning ahead, having it ready. You know, again, valuing people's time, getting good instruction out in front of them, so you hit the ground running, and it's awesome training. That's what keeps people engaged.
Yeah, I think there's a balance there. You have to go. You have to have the training that's like written down or whatever you said about like being prepared. But you also have to have training that's not the same all the time.
That's right.
And I think some departments get fixated on that. They follow the book. Everything's by the book, and nothing ever changes. So, we're doing ladder practice exactly the same way we've been doing it for 20 years. And you know, thank God our chief, he hates that. That's the way we've always done it. He hates that term, and I hate that term. Kind of telling these guys, I don't know, I told Todd, I was just down in Vancouver training in my other job last week, and the course I was teaching, I was actually teaching some instructors on how to be instructors. And the course the week before was taught by some other instructors, and they were following that's the way we've always done it way.
Oh yeah.
And, the students were not entirely pleased with the course, and then they get to our course, and it's not just me, but it's the other guys that I train with. You know, we were running it more like, hey, this is new. Let's play around with some different drills. Let's do some different things, and we were making it as fun as we could. We had like music playing when we were rolling on the ground, and it was almost like organized chaos we were doing, but they learned a lot, and everybody had fun, and that really shows now, because I think those guys are going to become really good instructors, and hopefully we'll carry on and teach it the way we were doing it.
I think not to pump your tires, but what your podcast does for a lot of folks is those departments that don't have as many calls or as much, you know, going on, they feel part of something else. At least that's what I would, you know, when I listen to you guys yak about your calls and, you know, this train derailment here and this other thing happened here, or we had a structure fire, and just hear you talking through it. That's the kind of banter and breakdown and debriefing we would do after a call that we had. But we don't have 15 structure fires a year. We might have 5, you know, and that antsiness that you talk about, or that on edge when there hasn't been a call for a while and guys start losing interest a little bit if the training is dry in the meantime. You know, if you're isolated as a department, if you're not connected via video or podcast, or guys are you know, some of our guys are interested in other training videos, or some of our guys are professionals at Ottawa or whatever, so they're getting other training. there's got to be these other avenues to keep guys interested. And I think that's what you guys do with this podcast. That's a little bit of what we wanted to do with some of the videos was, hey, you know, like, look at this interesting stuff going on. You're part of something like that, and maybe bring that spark back. But I think the training question is going to be, I think you guys have that one nailed down. You know how to do it right. And I mean, it's not perfect, obviously. That's an ongoing thing. But I think you got a lot of the right ideas going forward. That's cool.
Yeah, I like what we train, and some guys actually think, when they think back, they actually, in their mind, they remember that actually being a call.
Sure.
We've had that before. They're like,
Yeah.
we're like, how many?
Yeah.
We're trying to remember the calls for the year, and then one of them says, and we're like, that wasn't the call. That was the training night. Oh, yeah, it was. It was so
Yeah.
realistic to them that it was like, oh, no, that actually was just a training night. That wasn't actually a call. So
Yeah.
that's what we kind of strive for.
Well, the calls are so good at reminding us what we don't know. You know, we had a school bus. We had an MVA the other day with a school bus, like a 26-foot straight truck, basically rear-ended the back end of a school bus and sent a car out the middle. You know, and fortunately everybody was fine. We extricated the woman just fine, but it was absolute chaos. You know, when you hear school bus with children, and then there was 6 ambulance buses there, and you know, and cops were all over it, and it's only a road that you can act like, you know, there was no intersection. It was just a zoo. And then everybody got it all sorted out. But then when you go back for the debrief, it's like, okay, we need better organization with this or the other thing. We should divide into 2 sectors, or and that sort of thing. And then people are getting involved again right away. And it was followed or preceded by we had a woman come to stop at a railway crossing, and the van got smoked. She got out of the van in time. So again, no one was hurt, but it was like 2 MBAs right at one after the other that got us thinking and got the juices flowing. And guys like, we got to train more on this. It's like, yes, we do. You know, and so the calls really.
Yeah, and that's actually something that we've done. Like, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? With all the mass accidents on some of the freeways out east and down the States in the wintertime, we started talking about, okay, well, you know, it's time to start talking about MCI training again.
Yep.
And okay, how is this going to look like in a practice night? So you guys went down, stacked up a bunch of cars, motorhome, tractor trailer. You know, we had patients scattered around in them. The motor RV was on fire, and then just to work and see how the guys are going to split up the teams, because access and egress was tough. Like, it was phenomenal.
That's a great thing about being able to have a training ground and just push the limits a little bit. Like, you know, I'm sure.
Well, you guys are able to light everything on fire, which just makes it so much fun. Yeah, like anybody's normal training, everybody has normal training, and then you guys do training with everything on fire, and it's.
So you're like, hey, you want to light on fire? And you're like,
Yeah,
sure,
you want to blow it up? Okay. Oh, it's so nice. I love it.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, in the name of training, we can get away with a lot. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bylaw in our town that basically allows us to do things.
Oh, it's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here 35 plus minutes in, and we're talking about training. I mean, is there any better time to
Segue.
segue?
Oh, look at you.
Talk about May.
Seminar.
So
Yeah.
we're having our seminar this coming May. We've talked about it a few times on the podcast before, and you know, we're always looking to have some new presenters, some new people coming in, and I don't know if you guys have anybody in mind, but do you?
What? Do we have anybody in mind? Huh?
Maybe some Motis guys. I don't know. Some Motis.
Yeah, well, I suppose we got to come down and participate in some of your training. We'll have to figure out what that looks like.
We're really, really excited to have you guys come out this year. Kind of chatting beforehand, it sounds like you guys want to come out. You're going to bring a ton of your guys' product, bring out some cameras, get some awesome footage.
Yeah.
We are super, super excited to have you guys out here, and just take part in those quick hour-long sessions that put people hands-on in live fire scenarios, auto extrication, MCI events, stop the bleed, gas, like Fortis gas, Fortis electric.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a ton. River. Yeah, there's like 24, 25 live events. Nothing is paper. Everything is live, hands-on. It's going to be an amazing event. It's the first one since 2019,
Right.
pre-pandemic. So we've been sitting on this since then, and we are very, very excited to get out in front of people. And to have you guys get on board this year is going to be phenomenal.
Awesome. Yeah, and Chris is coming and we'll be doing lots of videos. So what's awesome is we'll be able to take what you guys are doing and share it with everyone, and they'll be able to see it, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Ash said, everything's live. Like we actually had one of our academies message. He emailed me the other day. Hey, can I do a flip chart PowerPoint thing on dynamics of fire? I'm like, no. You want? We'll build you a building and we can light it on fire.
We'll light your flip chart on fire and let them put it out.
Put it on fire. We'll watch what the fire dynamics are.
Watch this paper pyrolyze. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really awesome opportunity for you guys as well to come out. And, I mean, there's going to be 300, 400 firefighters running around doing all of this live training. Getting the exposure of the product is going to be great. I think the cool thing, like, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but for me, for you guys to put tools in somebody's hand that has maybe never heard of you, never had the opportunity to try it, like just live, like, hey, so you went and did that first attack, with no Motis, with bare hands. Now let's go in with the snagger tool. Hey, now let's try, you're doing force entry, let's come over here and let's use our heavy hitter wedge as well, right? So adding your guys' products into the session as people are doing it, I mean, it's awesome for you for product placement. Awesome video, so you can see people going from bare hands to snagger tool, hose handling, because a ton of our stuff is going to be involving hose lines. So amazing opportunity to get people that have never had the opportunity, or maybe never heard of you, to go out and try it, and then getting like real world live reaction to the benefits of using the product.
Oh, 100%. And I think I think it'll be interesting for the participants too that we engage with. I mean, you throw a camera in the room, everybody gets excited. Well, am I going to be famous? Like you won't, maybe you will. Who knows? But I don't know whether that'll change any dynamics for the spring seminar or not. But it'll be interesting because you bring it from 10 or 15 other departments. Is that?
No, last time we had 45.
45 departments feeding that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we have departments coming from the island.
Okay. Yeah.
They did an 8-hour, well, not an 8-hour ferry ride. They did like a 2-hour ferry ride and like another ferry ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are coming quite the distance. Yeah.
No, that'll be very interesting. Yeah.
We kind of cast that net over the Pacific Northwest. We have a few people come up from the States.
Okay.
Some people coming from Alberta. And then obviously you guys coming from a little further east. But I mean, Pacific Northwest is kind of our main thing. This whole seminar, it started out as the BC Volunteer Firefighters Seminar, but which still is called that because it's in BC. That being said, though, like, we don't say you can only come if you're from BC. If you want to come and train, come and train. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to go to live fire, or if they do, they're paying $300, $400 a firefighter. And with some more rural departments' budgets, that's or a lot more, right? It definitely starts to get expensive. Now, you may have the opportunity to get a piece of paper that says that you went inside of a live fire building, and we don't give that. We'll give you a hearty high five and a wicked concert on Saturday night.
Well, I'll write it on a napkin for them.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
If that's what they really want to get, but
partially burned up.
It's about getting out there, getting that stress inoculation, getting introduced to some of these skills. you will not be a professional at any of these fields once you leave the seminar, but you'll be introduced to it, getting a little bit of the exposure, and then hopefully that drives you to go out and get the better and the longer training later.
Right.
You know, and it varies. Like sometimes there's very well-seasoned veterans that show up, and other people that are brand new that never put on SCBA. Some departments don't touch highway rescue, so then they're getting to play with tools. So there's a real diversity of people that are there.
Yeah.
I think we take our same like kind of training ideas that we have in our regular department and we put it basically on a big scale. So we try to make it as fun as we can, and that's why we've kind of gotten away from calling it the seminar, because that seminar to me, I remember when when the bomb squad showed up one year, who was a friend of mine from town. They come to do they're just going to come and show their bomb robot worked, and they drive in their bomb truck on Friday night, and I said, yeah, we'll just go over there. I said, don't go too far into that field because tomorrow we're gonna we're gonna have a missile fly out of a side by side and blow up that house. And he's like, what? Because my friend knew what we do. He kind of know that we're a little crazy. And he's like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, oh, it's just the opener. We're just gonna blow some stuff up.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that morning, they saw it, and yeah, I think we jumped 2 side by sides, and we had a gunfight, and a missile blew up a house, and then about 10 minutes later, they called me, and they're like, "Hey, can we blow up something at lunch?" What do you want to blow up? They're like, "I don't know. We'll blow something up." So they end up blowing up like a thumb-sized thing of C4, which blew out some windows in the town. But just to be able to do that on the middle of a community center ball diamond, blow up C4. Everyone was just like, "Wow, this is crazy." That's why we actually call it the Fire Palooza now, because one of the police officers actually said, "This is like a regular old Fire Palooza you guys got going on here." So
the name will stick. That sounds like a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are we able to talk about your latest thing that you sent me?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and actually, it was interesting because it went. You want to grab that? One of the sessions we're going to have this year is on Rescue Task Force and how it's going to tie in with we talk about it a lot on the podcast, how to tie it in with fire, because now that NFPA, I'm a big fan of NFPA stuff, but they actually have NFPA 3000 is actually on what they call an ASHER, so active shooter hostile environment response team. So, or a rescue task force, for some people call it that. And one of the sessions we have, I'm going to be teaching it on, because with the law enforcement side, we're actually teaching law enforcement response and how fire can work with that. And I've been trying to find plate carriers for us to demo. And Todd sends me this picture. He goes, "Hey, I think Motis has plate carriers now," because you saw some random Instagram pictures.
Yeah.
So yeah, I emailed Paul the other day, and this came while I was away, and so
Nice.
I'm playing around with it. The plate carrier. Did you make it for workout mostly? Is that what your idea was?
Yeah, that was the original idea. More just for workout. So we've got the weight plates, just for different weight plates for working out, and then you reached out and was like, yeah, that's perfect. That's a great idea. So got it in the mail right away.
And you know when I first was like, well, what's he going to know about plate carrier? And I don't know if you want to, but you seem to know a lot. So I do the plate carrier quite often. And like I said, yeah, this one, it's got the padding on the shoulders, which is super cool. I haven't worn it like for hours, like I wear my other one, but nice comfortable padding. It's got that. And I was actually going to say, hey, on the shoulder straps, you should have some mollies to attach a tourniquet. And then it comes, I'm like, oh, never mind.
Nice.
Already got that.
This is the third version, and hopefully the final one. So you get your blessing. If it gets approved, then we're good.
Tourniquets. I got the Velcro for the identifier to go on. The pull straps, and it's actually cool because it's got double. So
yes.
Both sides. Because my other one, when I pull on it, it does that. Right.
Yep.
So now with the double, that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's got lots of molly in the front, and it fits the plates I currently use. And I like the fact it slides in. You and I were talking about this. It slides in from the top. For whatever reason, most plate carriers slide in from the bottom, and there's another Velcro strap. And it doesn't. It seems kind of like, I don't know why they would do that. This is much more efficient, I find.
Yeah, if anybody knows, let me know, because I really wondered why from the bottom up, especially on the workout side, because the heaviest plates are pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And if I just looked at a bunch of different vests, and I was like, this just seems nuts. If you've got the weakest point at the bottom, that if those plates fall out in your toe, that's a lot of weight. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to go strap it in, and it's awkward to get them in. So it's like,
Maybe
yeah,
it's
just
for-
put it in from the top.
Maybe it's when you're doing chin or like hooking your legs over and doing curl ups.
Yeah,
Like that.
exactly.
The plates fall and hit you in the upper
Yeah,
of your nose. You don't want that happening.
yeah,
I'll try that. Yeah.
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 I mean, you know.
But yeah, we'll definitely we'll have that out. I'm guessing we'll have one of those out at the seminar, and we'll let people.
Yep, for sure.
We'll do their demos. Yeah.
Yeah, and also we'll work out the logistics of coming out for the Firepalooza as time gets closer, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, let's start wrapping things up.
Sure, thanks.
Is there anything else just before we start getting into some wrap up here that you guys want to add to?
Not too much else in the works. Our Motis magazine, that's been out for a little while. That kind of came with the Firelight video series, so we're going to tweak that a bit because you guys were in the first issue. So we were going to do it quarterly, but now we're rebuilding the first one because most people that are buying from our site are either first-time buyers or second-time, but a lot of kind of first-time buyers. So then it's like, if we do it quarterly, everyone's missing out on all the other issues. So we're going to just make one bigger version. And then put your story back in and make just one bigger kind of yearly one. And then just talking with other fire companies to kind of feature their story, kind of like Fire Life on the video series, but then just kind of telling the stories of what other people are doing. And it's because we're not a magazine company, it's not like they're paid ads or things like that. We're just kind of sharing the other cool stuff that other people are doing and really trying to, make a kind of bring community together and share, what other people are up to and working on. So
Awesome. Where can people find you and your products and any like the Fire Life magazine or the YouTube series?
well, if you're on Facebook or Instagram and you come to our website or click something, you'll get blasted probably with the ads, so you won't be able to escape. But if you go to motisfirerescue.com or just Google Motis, you'll find us, and Instagram, TikTok, everywhere.
Dial 911 and we'll show up at your door.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you once again, guys. It was awesome having you back on. Love staying in touch with you guys, and I'm really excited to see where things go in the future.
Absolutely.
100%. Appreciate
Awesome.
you guys taking the time.
All right. Any more?
No, thanks a lot, guys.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks,
Thank you.
we'll sign off. Have a good night. All right.
Cheers.
Take care.